just allow me to say that at the end of the day, if you guys want to use a controller, use a controller. If you guys want to use a mouse and keyboard, use a mouse and keyboard. There's advantages to both. There's pros to both. There's cons to both. And it's always going to be that way. But with the new seasonal changes, of course, this kind of changes the direction of which one might be currently better. Just as much as some legends may be in meta, I think sometimes that mouse and keyboard may be meta or controller may be meta. I think it was very obvious that last season, controller was most definitely meta, which is why one of the best players in the world, Imperial Hal, decided it's best to get off the mouse and keyboard meta and go to the controller meta while it's hot. And that's exactly why he won the LAN. At least some people think so. Considering he's a pro, I don't think he was dumb to make that decision, and it very obviously worked out for him. However, the reason I feel bad for you controller players is it seems like we're moving into a season where it might not be so good for you. Pretty deep dive conversation. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to stay up to date all things Apex Legends news related. And also, we're about to hit 100K, and I would greatly appreciate it. Let's jump right into this video. Firstly, I promise to not pull out that post that John Larson made a year ago again. I know I've been talking about it a lot. I do think it's worth mentioning over and over because at the end of the day, I mean, you know, he is the one to kind of make a lot of the shot calls here. He is the one to kind of look over a lot of things. And, you know, Albert Ledley also basically said that they're going to do another temperature check for all of you controller players out there and to kind of maybe fine tune aim assist and see if there does need to be a change and see if they're noticing anything too far out of whack. So this was coming from Otter tweets. Otter was actually able to get a sneak peek at the early access of season 16. And I want to show you guys this because it was kind of concerning. We've been following the story for quite some time. Will they have a controller nerf coming soon? And I'm saying that because of that tweet that John Larson put out 1 year ago about last month. So at this point, we've been kind of just waiting. You know, we've been waiting to see, are they going to pull the trigger? When is this change coming? Is it officially coming? We haven't heard much since. Otter did say this. There are no official controller nerfs this season. But wait a second. This new patch is a controller nerf. By nerfing Horizon and the wall hack meta, controller loses a lot of strength in team fights. By buffing shotguns and nerfing skin, Gibraltar and shotgun meta gets more viable. Concerning controller and mouse and keyboard metas, this kind of seems more like a mouse and keyboard meta. A lot of you controller players may have a harder time playing up against PC players, but if you're in console, not too much to worry about. Well, at least yet. He continues the tweet basically saying that all of these changes, it kind of make controller seems like it's kind of received a nerf. Could be for two different reasons. Number one, there's too much hyperfixation on the aim assist value. Basically, too many people are focusing on, is 0.4 too strong? Is 0.6 too strong? Should we go to 0.3? Who cares? After the backlash that Respawn received, maybe they are too afraid to touch those numbers directly. Or number two, Respawn considers aim assistance at a higher level of balancing a part of the game that just simply should not be touched and don't want to adjust aim assist when making meta changes. We know this because John Larson said about a year ago or so, quoting it from this tweet, basically saying that if he sees any people like directly switching input types because they feel like it's 100% necessary, then it's time to worry and maybe they will have another temperature reading. And that's when he said, basically, it looks like it's time for another temperature reading. And then by adjusting the meta to one that gives more power to mouse and keyboard players, which is exactly what it seems like they're doing, controller itself isn't going to get nerfed, but basically we are forced to go back to playing mouse and keyboard if you want to stay at your maximum strength through all of this, especially if the shotgun fight is coming back in meta. Now, I do dispute whether or not Gibraltar is going to be back in meta and all these shotgun fights are back in meta. I feel like Mad Maggie, as long as she exists, Gibraltar is definitely not going to be in meta. I honestly can see a world where Lifeline is in meta. I mean, she just looks so dang strong this season. I cannot see how people will not use her. Maybe even Newcastle. And then Sor Hollow, who's also a competitive player, but not necessarily a direct pro player, but mainly a content creator, also went on this stream with TSM's head coach Raven regarding the controller situation, regarding the new legend changes, and how this is going to affect all you controller players out there. Roll the clip.
Oh, Horizon's just dead, by the way, right? She feels to me.
I mean, Horizon, like, if you're playing Horizon like Chaotic is, then yeah, because if you're using the gravity lift as an offensive utility, which I always thought was stupid. Like, in order for me to have 100% accuracy on the ground, I have to sacrifice 50% of my strafe speed with, or more than 50% of my strafe speed with ARs, LMGs, marksman weapons, and snipers. Whereas people have verticality and going up into the air. And so I never, and it's like, and people were like, well, don't chow the lift, man. Like, why are you standing in the open against the Horizon? It's like, okay, that ability, we already had like the worst version of that in season 7. It's very clear that this was supposed to be a movement ability, right?
Right.
Like it's supposed to get you from point A to point B. It's not supposed to be like, oh, the middle of a field oh, there's 3 people. Allow me to queue up. Allow them to miss and one clip one. As I go up the lift and their head hitbox relatively goes lower, allow me to shoot down on them and rain hellfire. Like, that's not what that ability was for. Props to the people who have mastered it, and props to the controller players who have infinite range and do not have to physically reset the position of their mouse as they pull down on their analog stick on 4.3 Classic to like absolutely fry people. That does actually take skill, I will admit. Props to those people.
Right.
But like, still, that ability is designed to get you from point A to point B. Vertical mobility is fundamentally busted enough as it is. Like, I don't know.
I mean, let's just like let it out. Ban controller players.
Now, I know some of this can obviously be concerning for a lot of you controller players. Maybe sometimes you feel like the influencers have too much power. They've maybe persuaded a lot of people one way or the other, and that's when things sometimes don't play out to your favor. However, there was also another clip from this exact stream of these guys playing where they pretty much just said that the OG console days and those vibes are back into play as well. It's a lot of R99 meta. It's a lot of SMG meta. It's up close in your face meta. And I'm kind of surprised that they're still saying that mouse and keyboard seems to be getting the more favoritism here, and controller players seem to be getting nerfed with all of these new meta changes. While at the same time, they're saying the R99 is frying up close and they think the R99 is coming back in the meta. And it very well could be. The 1 damage per bullet increase, which kind of skyrockets the DPS, seems like close range SMG fighting could be back in meta, and that's where controller players thrive. So from what I'm taking from all of this, what it seems to be more so the case is that higher level controller players will definitely feel a little bit out of whack. But the way it looks to me, if you are a normal casual console player or even a normal casual controller player on PC, I not only think you're going to be fine, I think you might even be feeling better. The OG meta stuff back in play, and Pathfinder and Wraith being so good and Lifeline being so good, honestly, I think it's going to feel so much more natural for you. And honestly, also with the SMG buffs here, it's going to be just like the good old days for the most part. But if you're an Apex Predator, if you're a master on controller and you're especially in the PC lobbies at that rank, it might get a little bit more difficult. If you're playing on console lobbies, it might still feel the same. You might be good because everybody's controller. Even if you look at last season and you think, oh, the controller players had it better and mouse and keyboard players didn't have it so well, and it kind of correlated between the higher ranks and the lower ranks. I think this season, honestly, it may be a situation where the higher rank controller players are not looking so hot this year and mouse and keyboard is, but at the lower ranks, I think it's going to be just the same, if not better, for you controller players. I understand a lot of these arguments that come out, and I'm not saying that nobody makes a fair point, but I do feel bad because all of these conversations seem to be happening at the higher level of things, and all of you console casuals or controller casuals that are just getting off from work from your 9 to 5 and you're just trying to have a good time on stream with your boys or something, you're getting affected too, and it's just kind of sad. It's like all the elites out there of the world, you know, upping your taxes big time. When you go to pay them, you're confused because all these decisions were made without you even knowing, and you didn't even know these conversations were going on. All you know is that you got to pay the price. But regarding this topic, I'm interested to see what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to stay up to date all things Apex Legends news related, and shout out to Crazy Ratchet for the first posted server error of season 16. Hopefully these servers do not shut down, and hopefully we can play off the launch without everything crashing. This is going to be a good season nonetheless. I cannot wait, and I'm interested to play it with you guys on stream as well. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I'll see you later, Gators.